There are nearly 200 countries in the world, but one drinks more alcohol than any other. I'm in Bucharest to find out why Romanians are the world's biggest boozers. Yes, while your average citizen knocks back the equivalent of 5.5 litres of pure alcohol a year, Romanians lead the world by sinking almost 17 litres of the stuff. That's the equivalent of 42 bottles of vodka, 188 bottles of wine, or 597 pints of beer per Romanian adult every year. But is it obvious to a visitor that Romanians drink so much? And why do they do it? Let's find out! OG viewers of the channel, we'd like to see I brought Mr. Dan Trelfer with me on this trip. I brought Dan for two reasons. One, because he enjoys a drink, and two, because he's the only one of my friends I know who's made love to a Romanian woman.
Many times.
Same one though.
Yeah.
After checking into our hotel, we found a pub and got in our first beers of the trip. So you were living in London, you started dating a Romanian girl, and eventually you made your first trip to Romania.
Yeah.
When you first came here, did you think this is quite a boozy country on that first trip?
First day or two, no. And then I started meeting the family and friends, and then, yes.
Right.
Yeah. I went to my then girlfriend's parents' house, and her dad was giving me shots of Sweeker, which hopefully we might try a bit later.
What's Sweeker? The local spirit?
It's like a plum brandy which they make, which loads of Romanians make themselves at home and share. And if you go to almost any Romanian home, you'll be offered it.
Right. So that was just part of. It wasn't like we're on a night out, we're going to have some Sweeker. It was just, hello, you've come in our house, have some Sweeker.
Yeah. I've now got lots of friends and relations in Romania, and in most houses, if not all, when you arrive, you'll be offered a shot of Tweaker. Yeah. Basically, I had to hide behind my girlfriend, who then became my wife. Like, if I said to her I don't want to drink, then she would have to step in, because they quite often don't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, it's almost like a game that you play, where they're saying, do you want to drink? And you go, no thanks. And then they think, oh, you're just saying that because that's the game we play.
Yeah.
And then I'll persuade you, and then you'll have a drink.
Yeah.
So like, it's the opposite happened when I came over, when friends came over here, and I said, shall I get another beer? He's like, no, I'm all right, thanks. I was like, okay, and take the glasses away, and they're like, no, I was waiting for you to convince me.
Yeah, okay.
It's a bit of a minefield sometimes.
Yeah.
After learning a bit about the drinking culture in Romania, we move venues to chat history and stats.
So Dan, I brought you here, cheers.
To Corks.
To Corks Cozy Bar, Corks Wine Bar here, because I want to talk to you about the history of Romanian drinking.
Okay.
Because Romania is actually famous for its wines. Are you aware of this?
A little bit, yes.
What do you know about Romanian wine?
All I know is that there's quite a lot of, I've drunk quite a lot of it, and I quite enjoy it, although a lot of the wine is quite sweet, which I'm not a big fan of.
This blew my mind. Romania is the 5th biggest wine producer in Europe.
Wow.
Did not know that at all.
No, I didn't know that.
It's had a long history of getting lashed up, because Romanian wine dates back 6,000 years.
Okay.
So there's certainly a historic reason why Romanians drink a lot. But I've got some stats for you about the alcohol consumption, so we just get a picture of how much Romanians love boozing. So the average Romanian over 15 years old, so 16 and upwards, drinks 16.96 litres of pure alcohol a year.
In the form of pure alcohol?
Not in the form of pure alcohol, but to give you an idea of that, what that is, 1 litre, so if you're talking about 40% spirits, like vodka for example, that's 42 bottles of spirits a year each. So in the UK,
a lot of that is because of Tweaker, I think, because it's so strong.
Yeah. It's actually quite gendered. 5.5% of Romanian men drink alcohol every day compared to just 0.3% of Romanian women. So it does seem like...
checks out on my experience.
Does it? Yeah. It does seem like it's not everyone drinking. It seems to be just like a certain, maybe like rural group of men are doing like a lot of the drinking for the entire country.
I think that's
that sound about right?
Fairly fair, yes.
So it seems a mix of a small amount of people drinking loads and a lot of binge drinking going on as well.
Yeah. And then around big events and things, there's an enormous amount of drinking.
Is there?
Definitely New Year's and Christmas and any sort of party, weddings and that kind of thing. It's very big then. So I mean, like it is with us, but I think probably on a slightly bigger level.
I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Robbie, you're out in Bucharest using your phone while you're abroad. Isn't that going to cost you loads of money? Well, it won't, thanks to our video sponsor, Aerilo. I went to America once and used my phone internet to check a few things. Nothing major, just booking a few restaurant tables, maybe checking directions. And do you know how much my phone bill was when I got home? £150. Since then, I've always been a bit worried about using my phone abroad, but Aerilo has taken away all that stress. Aerilo is the world's first eSIM store, which solves the pain of high roaming fees by giving you access to eSIMs. They're basically just digital SIM cards. 15 million travellers use Aerilo, and it covers over 200 countries and regions. Here's how it works. You download the Aerilo app and find the eSIM plan that suits you. I want to Romania, so I type that in. I'm only there for 24 hours, so I don't need loads of data, so 1 gigabyte will be sufficient. I buy the eSIM, install it whilst connected to Wi-Fi, and then when I get to my destination, I just access it and boom! I can access the internet immediately. Now, to sweeten the deal, as I know how much you guys like codes, if you download Aerilo and use code RobbieK3, you're going to get $3 off your first eSIM purchase. Look, a massive QR code. It's bigger than me. Scan it, download the Aerilo app and use code RobbieK3 to save those dollar bills, y'all, when you go travelling. Now back to Romania. So we touched on the history of alcohol in Romania. Dan, obviously it goes back a long time with winemaking, but there's also elements within our lifetime of communism and stuff like that. What do you remember of, because we're old enough, a lot of my viewers will be too young to remember it, but I remember a time where Romania was a communist, under a communist regime.
Yeah.
Give us a brief history lesson.
I'll do my best. We're in Bucharest in the 60s. Bucharest was known as Little Paris because it's a really beautiful city.
Right.
Unfortunately, under Ceausescu, a lot of buildings were destroyed. Some not so beautiful buildings were built. But you can still see it wherever you go in Bucharest. We've been saying how beautiful it is here. And my wife, she grew up in communism. She was born in 1981, and communism was overthrown on Christmas 1989 in Romania. And she told me about stories about growing up in it of, basic stuff of like queuing for bread. It's that we sort of, you come to Romania now and it's a lovely country. People are really, not that it wasn't then, but people are really friendly. It feels like going almost anywhere else in Europe in a way. And just the idea that within our lifetimes, people were queuing for bread.
So how did it work? Like you're allowed a loaf of bread a day or something?
I think so. I think it was sort of a bit like rationing, as far as I know. My wife would tell me stories about how to kind of, even within communism and when you're not supposed to be showing signs of status or anything, everybody still did, because it's almost like human nature. So when you went to buy the bread, the plastic bag that you would carry would be a sign of your status. So if you've got like quite a cool plastic bag from a cool shop, whatever those cool shops.
So if you got like Asda, people are going, that's sick, man, you got an Asda bag.
Because you didn't have design label handbags or anything.
No.
You couldn't get them. So it was like you could go,
I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Because I got a bag from Lidl. Yeah.
And you think this was, only 30, 40 years ago.
Well, that's apparently quite a big factor as well in why drinking is so popular in Romania, because alcohol was state controlled under Ceausescu, but relatively cheap, and because there was a lot of surveillance and oppression and generally fairly negative things, and it was quite bleak.
Yeah, it was pretty grim.
Pretty grim.
Time, yeah.
Alcohol was one of the few legal ways that people could turn to it, and then when communism ended, there was suddenly this surge in unemployment, because before everyone had jobs given to them by the state. There's suddenly a surge in unemployment, and alcohol suddenly being aggressively marketed to the people, which hadn't happened before, really.
Right.
And still relatively cheap.
Yeah.
A lot of people did then just turn to quite heavy boozing, apparently.
Oh, interesting.
After enjoying some Romanian wine, it was time to live like the locals and taste some of the spirits I'd heard so much about.
So Dan, there's two drinks here in Romania. There's Tuica and Palinka. Is there a difference?
I'm not totally sure, but they're both essentially plum brandy. They're both made like in basements using the fruit of the plum.
So you've got Palinka. The woman swears it's the same.
Yeah.
But
it can look different. This is the thing, because it's made at home, it all looks different. Sometimes it's clear, sometimes it's got this sort of yellowish colour.
Okay.
So,
right, there's a little taste of Palinka / Tuica.
yeah. Cheers.
That's strong, isn't it? It tastes like any spirit where it's harsh.
Yeah.
I get the plum of it though. I can see the plum.
You can.
That could have been a lot worse.
I'm
But
just going to say it. That's not great.
well, by terms of Tuica,
In my experience, it's not great. It's not a great.
this bar does bad Tuica, Dan's saying.
It's not good.
So Dan, we've learnt a lot about Romanian drinking habits. I should say, surprisingly, there are downsides with being the heaviest drinking nation.
Really?
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
It does cause people to die a bit. Like,
Yeah.
here's some stats for you. Overall,
Was me laughing the correct response?
no, I think you were laughing
Yeah,
at the
sorry.
situation rather
Yeah.
than the death.
Yeah.
Overall, alcohol-related mortality in Romania is 102 deaths per 100,000 people.
Okay.
To put that in context, in the EU average is 3 deaths.
Ooh.
So that's quite a lot. The UK 16 deaths per 100,000 people. 102 in Romania.
That's quite high.
So it is quite a big
It's quite high.
public health problem. The thing I found really shocking, of all 15 to 24-year-olds who die in Romania, 20% of those deaths, alcohol is a significant factor. In 20 to 24-year-olds, it's a quarter of people who die, alcohol is a
Really?
factor. Yeah. The Tuica that we had earlier,
Yep.
Dan, I've had that before at your wedding.
Yes.
That was quite booze heavy, wasn't it?
Yes. Very, very. Well, the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very booze heavy. Yes, all weddings will be like that in Romania.
What? We were getting shots everywhere. We went to pick you up from your room,
Yeah.
doing shots, pick the
Yeah.
bride up, doing shots,
Yeah.
turn up at the reception, shots.
Yeah.
A lot of shots.
Yeah.
So I've got here something that I've found from the internet that are some Romanian traditions
Okay.
involving alcohol. I want to know if you recognise any
If
of
I've
them.
done them. Okay.
Okay. The welcome shot. When visiting someone's home, especially in rural areas, Romanians often have a shot of Tuica or Palinka, and refusing it can be seen as rude or disrespectful.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's it. Okay. Chuka for the priest.
Oh, yes.
In some villages, it's traditional to offer Chuka to the local priest during certain religious ceremonies like blessings or after funerals.
Absolutely.
So you just give the priest a bit of booze?
Yeah.
Okay.
Priests love it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
drinking for the dead. At funerals and memorials, it's customary to toast and drink in honour of the deceased. That's everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it everywhere, but absolutely, yes, funerals is very alcohol heavy.
And this I liked, the morning shot. In older rural customs, men would sometimes take a shot of Tuica before starting for work, called a desmortitor, loosely translated as a loosener-upper.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that exists. I
Yeah.
will say is I will pay homage here to my great auntie, who, by marriage,
Right.
who's
Romanian.
Who's Romanian. She's now no longer with us, but she was very much a fan of the early morning Tuica, and she was also the fighting champion of her village. And I don't mean she was the female fighting champion. She was the fighting champion of her village.
I don't know who the fighting
She was at the
Norwich
wedding.
is.
She was at the
Yeah.
wedding, so you probably met her.
Yeah.
She was properly hardcore,
Yeah.
and she swore by the
Morning
shot in
Tuica.
the morning. Yeah.
So Dan, we've learned a lot about why alcohol is so prevalent in Romanian culture and society. We are men of the world, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
We like to embrace different cultures. So I think we should see what it's like being Romanian by going out drinking in Bucharest and getting pretty hammered.
Cheers.
It's 4 p.m. Dan, I think the area we've been hanging around with feels a bit touristy.
It does.
Is that fair enough?
I think that's right. It's nice. It's very nice.
So
It feels a bit like, where tourists go.
we are admittedly tourists in our defence.
Yeah.
But I've heard up here there's a bit more of a sort of arty vibe up near the university, a bit more bohemian, feels a bit like us maybe.
I'm very bohemian.
Here you are.
Yeah.
Let's go have a look.
Especially after this many beers.
So we're very much in the more sort of culturally university area. It's very pleasant.
Nice.
Got nice trees, lovely buildings.
Yes.
Let's see how more cultured Romanians drink, Dan.
Okay.
Like this slightly artsy area, Dan. Bohemian vibes?
Yes, very much so.
Let's get another drink, because if we're going to be Romanians, we need to smash pints.
Yeah, exactly. Are you filming because you think I might have hiccups? I haven't got hiccups. It's fine.
You're like a comedy
That
drunk
was
man.
a quiet
You're like a
hiccup.
comedy drunk man.
Yeah.
We met Caesar. Wants to be in the video.
I love this guy.
Well, it's the morning, and I can confirm that Romanians do indeed like to drink alcohol. I felt better, but I felt a lot worse on other occasions. Better go home now. Bye.